Hi, I'm Marilyn, and this video is going to focus on the topic of Eurocentric beauty standards and how having Eurocentric features are associated with being elite, and how beauty standards can actually infringe upon a person's sense of self-worth and how they're treated. I'm also going to talk about how we're brainwashed to see Eurocentric beauty as ideal, and how from childhood this can actually take away our sense of individualism and even rob us of some of our innate creativity. Firstly, I want to start off by defining what Eurocentric beauty means, because many people will assume that Eurocentric beauty means European beauty, and that's not necessarily true because Europe is extremely diverse. You have different hair colors, different skin tones, freckles, no freckles, different sizes of noses and eye shapes and jaw lines and body shapes. So it's not necessarily referring to all of European or all white people. It is referring to a certain type of person that is associated with these features. For example, these features including silky, wavy hair, small to slender size nose, being tall, thin, having large eyes, defined cheekbones. And of course, these features are not exclusive to white people. All kinds of races can have these features. As you can see here is an image of a couple of celebrities gathered together, and I apologize because the brand may or may not have intended for this image to promote diversity. But in this image, you can see women of all races and all skin tones represented, except I noticed that there's no East Asian in this photo. As you can see here, all of these women have something in common, which is called Eurocentric beauty, and they have Eurocentric features, meaning that even the ethnic women in this photo, their features typically do not represent or are not typical of the race that they are a part of. And by saying this, I'm really trying to be careful because I'm not trying to say that, for example, that Zoe Saldana, and I believe she's Black and Latina, I'm not trying to say that she's not Black enough or not Latina enough, because that's not true at all. I think that she is Black enough, she is Latina enough, and she deserves every opportunity, just like all the women in this photo. And I personally wish them continued success. By saying that they have Eurocentric features and their features are not typical of their race, I am not trying to say that they're any less of their race. What I'm trying to say is that in our society, even when brands, for example, or in movies or TV shows, any kind of advertisements or things that we're exposed to, a lot of the time we are given images of Eurocentric beauty. Even when the brands are claiming to be diverse, they are still projecting these types of features. Now, I know things are changing and it has become better, which is really good. I'm the millennial generation, and I remember in my era in the 90s, it was predominantly Eurocentric beauty. Whether it was white women, Black women, brown women, or Latina women, they all had Eurocentric features. This is also true for men too. For example, here are some models that are male, are considered attractive based on their appearance. And if you see here, a lot of them have Eurocentric features. Where lies the problem is that when we look at a person and we think that that person is handsome or that person is pretty, are we determining this because that's our natural innate way to perceive beauty, or have we been brainwashed from children to see Eurocentric beauty as ideal? I'm going to give an example. So when I was a child, one person that I admired and I thought was really beautiful was singer, actor Brandy. And when I looked at Brandy, I just loved everything about her. I saw her as flawless, and this is when I was a really young child. I didn't see anything wrong with her skin tone, with her face, nose. I loved her braids. There was nothing about her that I saw as not beautiful. I even watched an interview with Brandy years and years ago where she was telling somebody how she wanted to be a star, and the person responded, "You can't be a star because you're ugly." I was completely shocked by this because I couldn't see it. To me, she's just absolutely beautiful. I don't see where they're seeing this lack of attractiveness. I don't know. Then when I started to do this video, I looked back at her and I thought, oh, maybe it's because she doesn't have as much Eurocentric features. Maybe her features are closer to African or typical of African features. So maybe what people who think that she's not attractive, what they're seeing is features native to a certain race as unattractive. So this was kind of the beginning steps of the brainwashing done to me, where I didn't necessarily perceive ugliness in people, but over time, through, I guess, peer pressure and the media and even older generations like my parents and other family members and our society as a whole, I would say brainwashed me to see ugliness where I didn't see it innately. Why this is a problem? Because I believe myself innately to be a creative person. And when somebody tries to tell me that, especially at a young age, like now it's different, but when I was a kid, if someone's telling me things or I'm hearing things about something being ugly, then it's going to prevent that creativity within me from expressing. It's going to slowly start to mold me into some sort of cookie cutter consumer who can be controlled and doesn't think outside of the box. Then I started to think of how many of us since childhood may have been brainwashed to see something as ugly when we innately didn't see it that way. By this video, I'm not trying to intend that we should get rid of Eurocentric beauty standards. I believe that we should keep them because they are beautiful. They're just one of many different types of features. So I think that we should keep Eurocentric beauty standards, but on top of that, we should include diverse features and features that pertain to, I'm going to use the word tribal features as well, that pertain to different ethnic cultures. And this is happening slowly. I noticed this a lot when I was in school, that constantly people would judge other people on their appearance, whether it's a guy or a girl who was a celebrity, or even just among our classmates, that only the people that had Eurocentric features, it didn't matter the race, but only the people that had Eurocentric features were considered pretty and handsome. Basically, what this is saying is that any features that are related to the race or that are more ethnic, or I'm going to use the word tribal, that are typical of a tribe or of an ethnic group are considered ugly or less attractive. Now the topic started out of just talking about Eurocentric beauty, and now it's turning into racism, predominantly focusing on Eurocentric features as being ideal and elite is racist. Us as colored people, sometimes we have the tendency to point the finger at white people, but the truth is that we are all racist. As colored people, if we look at our own individual cultures, there's a lot of racism just in there. Even some European people watching may be able to relate to some of the stuff I'm saying, because maybe in their own families, like having a certain skin tone, like being too tanned was bad, or having too much freckles was bad, or something like that, where there were some individuals made to feel unworthy or less worthy because they didn't have Eurocentric features. Going back to the example of Brandy, I would ask the question, for people that look at her and don't find her attractive, is it because that's actually the way it is? Or are you just brainwashed to find her unattractive? In terms of brainwashing, I just want to go back a couple of centuries, Mayan society, and in Mayan culture for a period of time, having an elongated head was considered beautiful, and having a sloped forehead was considered beautiful. Having a wider nose and even being cross-eyed was considered beautiful. I'm not saying that this is any better, because what they did to their children was they slapped a board onto their head to try to make their head slope backwards, which is pretty disturbing in my opinion, but that's what they did. But that's what they found beautiful. I'm going to use the word brainwashed, but I believe that they were just brainwashed to believe that that was beautiful. Projecting into our society, could it be that we're just brainwashed to see Eurocentric features as predominantly beautiful and ideal? When I brought up earlier that as people of color, we are racist against ourselves, when I was doing my research, I watched another YouTuber and he brought up a topic about a Chinese model being casted for Vogue magazine. And there was actually an outrage among certain Chinese people, not all, who were actually against this and asking the question why they don't seek out Chinese women that have classic beauty. I'm thinking by classic beauty, they were asking for Chinese women of Eurocentric features to be casted by Vogue. And also in terms of Eurocentric beauty, sometimes in certain nations, it's not necessarily Eurocentric beauty that is the number one favored features. On top of that, it could be skin tone. So for example, in India, it's favored to be more light-skinned or more fair. So I would say having fair skin is more important than Eurocentric features. I saw one YouTuber talking about an advertising shoot of Indian saris, and they casted Ukrainian women to pose in their saris, and their reasoning was because they couldn't find Indian women that were light-skinned enough, so they used white women. And that made me wonder if in India with billboards, I wonder if there's a lot of white women posing as Indian women to promote having light skin color. So I am of Indian descent, and I know when I was a little bit younger, I was lighter skinned. Right now I go to the beach a lot because I like going to the beach, but I know I have a tendency to have light skin. And I noticed in my community from older generations that sometimes given praise for being fair, and I didn't quite understand it because I know people of our generation don't really care as much. I know I have the preference for being the skin tone that I am now. I wouldn't necessarily want to be lighter than this, but when I was a really young child, I used to go camping a lot, so I was actually really dark skinned, and I noticed that people would say, "Whoa, you've gotten so dark." I was always kind of surprised by this because I just always thought, why does that matter what my skin tone is, whether I'm 5 shades darker or 2 shades lighter or the way I am now? Like, why does it really matter? Like, why would you even comment on that? Again, my point in this video is having Eurocentric features not only tends to make you more beautiful, but it also helps you gain more opportunities. This includes job opportunities. It helps elevate your status to a more elite status. And I've even heard that people with these features tend to make more money. Basically what they're saying is Eurocentric features, people that have this are more worthy. And that's where the problem lies. When we go out into the world after hearing this video, I would challenge that when we start to perceive somebody as pretty or hot or handsome, that we ask ourselves, is that what I innately believe is beautiful, or am I just brainwashed by society to perceive that as beautiful so that the media and society can use me to make money off of because they want me to be a consumer? Beauty does exist in many forms, and we need to look a little bit harder to find things that are beautiful that maybe we weren't taught. And we need to be mindful when we start judging other people for not being attractive enough and passing random comments about that, and asking ourselves, what are we standing up for when we say comments like this? What kind of society are we creating when we make comments like this? We can also predominantly buy products from brands or consumers, or watch programs or movies that show diversity and not just skin tones, but different kinds of facial features, different heights, and different kinds of body sizes. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching.